So anyhow, this finally came out.
Okay, wonderful, great. So how did you come up with the idea to write a book on management?
Well, I realized that if we're going to be successful in Life Power, and if we want to open many Life Power centers, so people can study Hubbard's technology, they can apply it, they can open centers, they can succeed, I have to share my knowledge, my experience, which is mainly based on Hubbard's admin technology. And so I got to start writing a book because we need ethics technology, administration, what is an organization, how you build an organization, what is leadership, and what are the skills that a manager must have so that he can build an organization and keep it going.
Wow, nice, very nice. That would be interesting to read.
All right, you're welcome.
So let's talk about your credentials.
My credentials for what area? As a manager?
Management, yeah. You wrote a book for management. Let's see what you got in this area. So what is your education in management?
Well, there's education and there's experience, okay?
Yeah, so now let's talk about your education.
Education, well, for as long as I remember myself as a teenager, I had a strong interest in politics, organization, history, what makes people fail, what makes them succeed, and how do people work together. And I dabbled in many subjects, I read a lot. I finished high school concentrating on economics and sociology and social area. And then at the age of 18, I went to Haifa University, got myself a degree in economics and statistics. Then I joined the Israeli Army, Israeli Defense Forces. I went to officers course. I was an officer in the Israeli Army. So already at a relatively young age, 21, I was commanding people, I was managing people, and I started gaining experience in telling other people what to do and handling their objections when they protest or refuse, how to handle objections and how to get people to get things done and how to work in a group. I finished my military service in '76 and went on with my business studies to INSEAD, Institut Européen d'Administration, that's in Fontainebleau, France. I think it's Europe's most prestigious business school. I did my MBA degree there and I graduated with distinction. So that was a fantastic year, meeting people from all over the world and studying management, organization. And there too, I focused on organization and how people work together. So that was a great year, and ever since, I read a lot, I study a lot, and I've worked all these years as an executive, as a manager, first few years for big corporations in Israel, in San Francisco, in Boston, in New Jersey. So I lived many years in the US and working for big corporations. And a big change in my life, which we spoke about many times, is starting to study Scientology, Hubbard's philosophy. That was in 1980. So business school at INSEAD, I finished 1977.
All right.
I worked 2 years here in Haifa for a big company. I was manager of economic analysis department for a big industrial corporation here. And then Tammy and I, we got married. We traveled to San Francisco. And I said, well, I heard about this thing, Scientology. It sounds interesting, because I always wanted to merge or combine the spiritual and the personal with organization and understanding how people work together while achieving personal spiritual goals and seeking personal freedom. But you cannot go free alone. You don't sit on an island, or you don't hide on the dark side of the moon, say, well, nobody can see me, now I'm free. No, it doesn't work like that. You live and you work with people, and you go free with people, and you help others achieve their goals and attain their own spiritual freedom, and then you go free with them. Anyhow, so we found Scientology in April 1980, and very interesting because right from that point, Tammy focused more on auditing, and she did her auditor internship. I focused on admin tech, but I'm also a class 5 auditor, a course supervisor, but I focused more on ethics technology. I did the Hubbard Ethics Specialist course twice, Data Series Evaluator course, and many, many more courses and a lot of training in this area. So I can say that I'm both a specialist in management knowledge that is in the broad community, in the broad world, but also Hubbard's admin tech.
Good, wow, great education.
Thanks.
All right. Now, in what companies did you work as an executive?
So many, so many. Well, the first thing we did, as I mentioned to you, after Haifa University, BA Economics and Statistics, I was 3 years in the Israeli Army, an officer. So it's not a business, but you gain a lot of insight in management, seeing people, working with people, seeing how a bad organization, very wasteful organization, very low efficiency, how that is accomplished, because they get huge budgets, billions and billions of dollars, and much of it is wasted, but they still get good results because their enemies are even in worse shape. Oh, our enemies. Anyhow, so that was a good experience. Then I went to INSEAD, I did my MBA degree, came back to Haifa, worked 2 years for a big industrial company here in Haifa as manager of economic analysis department. And then we moved to San Francisco. I found out about Scientology, and I worked for a Scientologist in San Francisco, a guy by the name of Jim Clay. He had a big construction development company. I was his financial manager. Then moving back to Israel, working for high-tech corporations in Tel Aviv. And the company that I worked for in Tel Aviv 3 years, they had an opening in Boston, Massachusetts. And I was very happy to move back to the US because I realized that my only chance of going up the bridge is living in the US and working in the US and earning dollars. Because when you live in Israel and you earn shekels, it's very hard to go up the bridge. In those days, it's easier now. So I was online at the Boston Org. I continued studying administrative technology, Hubbard's. I worked for a big corporation in Boston, went up the bridge, and it was 5 years of back and forth meaning going up the bridge, working. The company moved to Hackensack, New Jersey. I had a very senior position there. I stopped working for this company. I went to work as vice president, finance and administration for another big high-tech corporation in Allendale, New Jersey. That was over after a year, and then I was introduced by a friend of mine, a management consultant, Gary Epstein, to a very big Israeli businessman in New York, Moish Mana. And he took me on as his executive consulting for him how to run the whole operation. Those were fantastic 2 years working in Manhattan with Moish Mana running a very big corporation. And on the weekends flying from New York to Florida to go up the bridge to do my OT levels and continue my training. Both OT levels and Hubbard admin tech, many courses, so I won't list them all. And then, of course, I realized that I cannot work with people who are not Scientologists, and my purpose is to forward Hubbard's vision, a cleared planet, and to do Scientology full time. And we came back to Israel, Tammy and I, in 1992, so almost 30 years now. And we opened a Dror Center, and it's been going great all these years.
Yeah, it is.
You're here, Eitan is here, we have a lot of people here now.
That's great, Dani. Now, working in these companies, what did you observe as far as management is concerned?
In most big organizations, what you find is that they lack admin tech. People don't know how to communicate. People all the time commit little overts, and then they have big missed withholds, you know? It's a little over, then a big missed withhold, and then you find intrigue and backstabbing, and people taking actions for their own survival or advancement, and not for the benefit of the organization. So that was one thing. For me, it was sort of stifling because I could not develop personally, I could not achieve my own goals, and I could not help people. So that's when we realized, Tammy and I, that we have to do our own thing. Tammy trained as a lawyer.
Okay.
She did the New York bar exam. So she's a New York lawyer. I was a very senior executive in a big company in New Jersey, and then consulting Moshe Mana in New York. We could live there and be very wealthy, but we decided that is not what we want to do. We want to help Hubbard achieve the vision, the goal, the big goal of a cleared planet, or at least avail people with Hubbard's technology. So that's what we did. We moved back to Haifa and we opened Dror Center. So when you give people freedom, when you empower them, you give them knowledge and you enable them to work on their own admin scales. And then myself as manager, if I may say, leader, the trick is to get them all to work together so that each individual's admin scale dovetails the admin scale of the other group members. And when there is a member of the group who has other goals, I encourage that person to leave the group to pursue his own goals rather than put pressure on a person to stay in the group. Right. Because people who are under pressure, they don't do well, they're not happy, nobody's happy. Because very soon, very early, I realized that most people are aberrated and they suffer, and the dramatization of their own problems shows in the business, in the way they work, the way they operate. When I was consulting Moshe Mana in New York, he was a great guy, he's a genius, very successful, but he was doing, to put it mildly, weird things. So my condition for working with him was that he received auditing from Tammy. And of course, here at the Dror, our emphasis is all the staff goes up the bridge. We're all on auditing, we're all going on the bridge. All the staff is on training. And of course, that's what we do. We help people by auditing, by training, and we hear daily from our public the great wins they have and how it changes their eight dynamics and their work and their businesses, and all have up statistics in their business life or finances because of the changes following the auditing. So it works great.
Amazing, great. Thanks for that.